Hare Krishna. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are discussing the pastime of Bharat Maharaj, the 3 lives of Bharat Maharaj. And we are in chapter 10 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, which contains the discussions or between King Rahuguna and Mahārāja Bharata. So first we'll cover a little story and then we will see what happens. So before we get started, let us recite the Mangalacharan prayers. Let me share the screen. Okay. Hopefully you all can see the screen. Okay, great. So we are in the Bhagavad Gita introduction where the Mangalacharan prayers are present. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tharine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So now we will recite the invocation verses for Srimad Bhagavatam. So as usual, first we start with the beautiful picture of Sri Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj and Sri Suta Goswami and Shaunakadi Rishis. So please, if possible, repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udirayet
Tato Jaya Mudirayet
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Reshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
तमश्लोके
तमश्लोके
tirбhavati naishtaki
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्कृति
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
Devaki Nandanaya cha
देवकी नंदनाय च
Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः।
Okay, thank you so much. So we will come back to so just a very okay, I can share again. We are discussing the 3 lives of Bharat Maharaj, the 3 lives of King Bharat. The first life was that of King Bharat, who left his kingdom or gave up his kingdom after ruling for a long time and went to the ashram of Pulatsya and Pulah Muni for doing spiritual practice and spiritual progress. There, after doing his spiritual progress, one day he found a baby deer without a mother, and he thought he should rescue the deer. And over a period of time, so here he is rescuing the deer. Over a period of time, he got very affectionate towards the deer. And like that, his affection increased day by day for the deer. And to the extent his affection increased for the deer, his commitment and dedication to his spiritual and his devotional practice reduced. So that is the big problem that happened. And he always was, his mind was no longer that much on Krishna or Bhagavan, but more on the Mrigasuta. Mrigasuta means son of the deer. So he started, all the time was occupied, all his mind was occupied by the deer. Here, this is a very nice picture where we see that he is trying to do his spiritual practice, his yajna, but his mind is, where is the deer? And like this, he becomes so attached to the deer, and finally, one day, death arrives. It will arrive for everyone. And with the deer in his mind and near his body, he dies. And because his last thought was that of a deer, as Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyatyante kalevaram. Tantam evaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. That whatever thought is there, the last thought in your mind at the time of death, tyajyatyante kalevaram, at the time of quitting the body, that nature you will attain after your death. So he became a deer in his next life. So that is the second life. We said 3 lives of King Bharat. But because of his spiritual practice, he was not a simple deer. He was a very special deer where he remembered his past life. So here you can see how in the body of deer he's remembering. And not only did he remember, he was lamenting. He was feeling sorry that he left his kingdom, he left his real family to come and do spiritual practice. And then he ended up going back to create another family with a deer, so to say, right? Sometimes, just a simple analogy, like the purpose for which you have gone, you have not done. The same thing he could have done at his own home. Somebody was telling, this is like, we spend a lot of money and go to a vacation, and there we stay in the hotel, and in the hotel whole day we watch TV. Well, if you had to watch TV, you could have watched it at home only, Why did you have to come all the way and, take a flight and all that, right? That has nothing to do with spiritual practice. Watching TV is not the same as spiritual practice, but you get the point. That if he had to remain attached to his family, he could have very well done that at home itself. The purpose for which he left his family and came to the forest or to the ashram of Pulatsya Muni, that whole purpose was lost. And he just ended up getting entangled in another family. So there was no point. And then the deer dies, but because of his past spiritual practice, he gets another human body. And this time he gets a body in the, not in the family of a king like Bharat Maharaj, but in the family of a very, very pious and spiritual Brahman who gave him a lot of spiritual practice. But this time he remembered his past 2 lives and he vowed not to get entangled again. So the best way to not get entangled again is to be somebody who nobody wants to talk to. If you are very attractive, if you are very nice in talking, very friendly, you will have a lot of friends. And then again, he thought this whole thing was the same thing, like a deer. So I don't want to get into any more entanglement. I was on my way to liberation, moksha. And I got entangled, so I don't want anymore. So he pretended to be a fool. He just pretended, and nobody wants to talk to a fool. So like that, people would shoo him away. Oh, get out, get out, get out. And he liked that. Okay, now this is not what everybody should do. There is a different way. But that's what he did. And there was this small side story, which the purpose of this side story is to show that how fixed he was in his mind internally. Even a fool, if you take and beat him up, he will cry, he will protest. Isn't it? Even a dog, if you beat, it will protest, isn't it? What to speak of a human being who is a fool, isn't it? Even the lowest animal, whatever you can think, if you try to beat it, it will protest, it will try to run away. So a bunch of dacoits caught him and wanted to sacrifice him, wanted to cut his head and do a human sacrifice. Now, this is never recommended in any scriptures, but those dacoits were doing their own thing. And he was very fixed. He did not protest. He did not say anything. He was so calm and composed, which shows that internally he was not a fool. He was very, very, very elevated spiritually, very self-realized. And Mother Kali, there was a deity who could not tolerate, they were trying to sacrifice him to Mother Kali. She could not tolerate such a devotee of the Lord being sacrificed. So she came out of the deity and she killed all the dacoits. So that is where we stopped. So this side episode of the third life of Bharat Maharaj, in this life his name was Jada Bharata, shows that the Lord always protects his devotees. But the devotees don't demand his protection. He did not cry out, Lord, protect me, or he did not even protest to the dacoits, did not do anything. He said, one day I have to die, fine. He had no attachment to his body. We have so much attachment to our body and our extensions of the body. What are our extensions of the body? Family, house, car, all this stuff. One time, one person, he was telling, he bought a new car. And then he was telling me, Prabhuji, I got this new car and I got this scratch on my car. I'm so sad. We were in a get-together. He was not able to enjoy the get-together. The whole time he was telling me that his car got scratched. And then he told me, come see. And he took me. I could not even see the scratch. He said, no, see, there is a scratch. It was such a minor scratch. I could not even see it. But he was so upset because of a scratch to the car. So these are our extensions. Imagine what will happen if you're trying to beat up the person or kill the person. It will be so much more agitation. So that is a big learning of the composure and the internal attitude of a devotee. Anyway, so yeah, same picture. Now we start here in this picture. And what is happening here, this is the final episode of the Jada Bharata story. Final episode means may not be the final class or final meeting today, but the final episode in the Bhagavatam, where he meets King Rahuguna. So we will start that. That's where we start today. Okay. So we are in chapter 10 of the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And what happens is that something here. See, this little thing is bothering me. Jada Bharat, nothing bothered him. I cannot even focus on the class because it seems there is some cut here I have. So that is my level. So long way to go. So one time, the king of the place, his name was King Rahuguna. And he was going to the ashram of Kapil Muni to hear the instructions from the sages. So he was a very wise man, but he was a king. So he was not self-realized, or he was not fully in the spiritual consciousness, but he had the knowledge. So he was pretty advanced, but we will see that. But he was conditioned by his rajas, or the rajoguna, also the mode of passion. And there were, like, at that time there were this kind of a palanquin. You know what a palanquin, what is called in palki, we say palki in Hindi, or what else it is called, I don't know. Palki. See, you can see the pictures here, various pictures. This picture is a nice one, has a very colorful and all that. So you need 4 people to carry the palanquin, and the king was sitting in, and he was being carried. One of the carriers, something happened to him. He became sick, or whatever. He could not carry. So the remaining 3 carriers went to look for a person to replace this one, so that you need 4 people. Otherwise, 3 people cannot carry. There's just no way. So they found Jada Bharata, and he did not protest. They said, come, you look like a nice body, you have nice body, come, you'll carry. So he was like, okay. So he went. And what happened was that this picture kind of shows it nicely. You can see some, it's not drawn to scale, but there were ants on the path. And this shows another quality of a devotee. He doesn't care for his life, but he cares for the life of everyone else, including the smallest living entity, the ant. Even smaller, if it is there, he will care. So he was making sure he shouldn't step on any ant. So he was being a little erratic in his walking, and he was walking a little slow. The other 3 carriers didn't have any such thing, so they were trying to walk fast. So overall motion of the palanquin was very erratic. So the king became agitated, because he could feel the palanquin going like this and that, isn't it? As if, you're driving a car on an Indian road, or these days the roads are better, some maybe village road or whatever, even in America, on a dirt road, right? So like that. I don't want to, I'm Indian, so I can say anything I want to Indian. So, I have the license. So the king got annoyed. So this shows the difference between the consciousness of the king and Jada Bharata. When Jada Bharata was about to be killed, he did not get annoyed, let alone get annoyed. He did not even protest. So this is also showing the contrast. The king, because he is somebody's, he's not still, he cannot probably sleep or whatever, he got annoyed. So this is a huge contrast that is shown, and he became angry. So he asked, what is going on, to the palanquin carriers, and they got afraid. They knew the king is, he will take them to task. So they immediately told on Jada Bharata, this is the guy, he's not walking properly, we are trying to walk properly, he's the one, he's the loose wheel of the car, so to say. And he so Jada Bharata, King Rahuguna understood that. He could also see that. So he was a politician, he was a but he was a smart guy. So but his anger was there. So first, what you do, I have also done this many times, first you be sarcastic. So he spoke very sarcastically. So for sake of time, we will not go into the details, but verse number 6 of the 10th chapter of 5th canto shows that he was speaking very sarcastically. Hey, my friend, like this, here, my friend, whenever thing starts with my friend, means there's something. Looks like you are very tired. Shall I get you some water? You're not walking properly. And do you need some help? And like that, looks like you're not very strong. Do you need some food? And he was being sarcastic. So Jada Bharata understood that, but he didn't say anything. So he again started carrying. So it was a hint from the king that you should be, nice, so nicely walk. But then when he again did not walk, because his priority also was to care for the ants. And then the king got really mad. And there he said very bad words. And I'll quickly go through this because I want to come to the essence, the main sort of philosophical and the bhakti essence of it. These are some very nice, beautiful verses we can see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that how Srimad Bhagavatam is describing the inner nature that even we have. So these are, I'm a very mode of passion person. I, speak my, give my piece of my mind to others, kind of, thing. So could relate to these kind of things, and the Sanskrit of the Srimad Bhagavatam so nicely, it comes out how he was so mad. So he said that, hey, you rascal. This is the second time. Now he gave him a piece of his mind, so to say. He shouted at him. Are you dead? Are you, don't have a body? Don't have hands? What's going on? And then he said, I am your master. You are my slave. Just because he was a king, he thought everybody else is the slave. And how dare you disregard my orders? I will punish you like Yamraj. So not only, so this is what happens when, you get some power. You get little power, and in your own mind, you think you have the most power. So luckily he stopped at Yamraj. He did not say, I am the Supreme Lord, but still Yamraj, pretty, I will punish you. The focus was on the punishment, because Yamaraj has to mainly deal with all the sinful people. So he said, I will punish you like Yamaraj. And then you will come to your senses. Still, Jada Bharata did not get agitated at all. Verse number 8 of the 10th chapter describes the quality of Jada Bharata, that he was very calm and composed. His body was the residence of the Supreme Lord. Everybody's body is the residence of the Supreme Lord, but the Lord is not very happy in most bodies. It's like if you are living in a rental place, and the rental place, the water doesn't work, the appliances don't work, everything is broken, then you're not very happy in that house. So the Lord has to somehow manage in most of these kind of houses that we have our hearts. which are not so clean. But Jada Bharat's, even though externally he was like a fool, internally his house of his heart was very clean, and the Lord was very happily sitting in his heart. So that is the quality of the devotee. And so not only his heart was very clean and the Lord was happy in his heart, he was also a friend of all living entities. We can see that right here, the friend of the ant. And we will see he's a friend of King Rahuguna as well. It is not that he's getting agitated on the king and only, many people, show love towards, little people, but not to our, when husband and wife are going, husband opens the door, if you are going to some store, you here in America, you open the door for other people. But when your wife comes, then you don't open the door, or she'll open it herself. Why should I open the door? Or for your loved ones or somebody you resent. But for strangers, please come, I'll keep holding the door. So that is the situation. Then there is some kind of hypocrisy or some duplicity. But he was perfectly situated. So first, Jada Bharat, then he thought, and it is shown here that he was not trying to just avoid the king. And a very, very important point that I wanted to discuss is giving association versus taking association. So this is a very wonderful example of that. Those who are devotees of the Lord, those who have spiritual knowledge, and they always try to avoid bad association. We have discussed this many, many times. Sangha is very important. The best way to become a drunkard is associating with drunkards, isn't it? That's the fast track. So that's why in college also, everybody would like to go and sit and study with the studious people. Okay, just by sitting with them, maybe I will learn something. So like that, people realize the power of association. We just don't apply it in our spiritual life, or we don't consider spiritual life to be that important. Those who consider it to be important, they go and find out whom I should associate with. So he did not want to associate with materialistic people. That's why he was acting like a fool. But here he thought he will give his association to the king. So he started speaking now. And now first, I won't go through the detailed verses, but first he spoke the science of the soul, which we have studied in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2 itself. That's the first thing Lord Krishna starts with. After all the drama and, what you call crying and, all the initial drama of the Bhagavad Gita is over between Arjuna and all the other things. Then finally, when he says, I surrender to you, then Lord Krishna first starts speaking about the soul. So similarly, Jada Bharat thought he should instruct the king. The king is only temporarily delusioned. He's a wise man. He knew that. So he started speaking the science of the soul. And very nice verse we have here. So let me see, I'll just show some pictures. So these are the palanquin pictures. So this is already, he has surrendered. Okay, so we'll come to that. So first he shows, we will see this very nice verse and we'll read the translation. I will share the screen of our Veda base. And we will go to library, Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's see, which canto should we go to? Fifth? Okay.
Fifth canto.
Just checking if everybody is. Which chapter we should go to?
10. Chapter 10.
Okay, very nice. chapter 10. And we will go to the 11th verse. Okay, we will just read some verses. We will read the Sanskrit also, which I have selected, just my personal selection. But this one, we will just read the English translation. So we will have somebody from the room read the translation. Who would like to read, who has a nice loud voice? Okay, yes, Prabhuji, Vivek Prabhuji. Just the translation.
My dear king, you have unnecessarily accused me of being dead to alive. In this regard, I can only say that this is the case everywhere because everything material has its beginning and end. As far as you're thinking that you are the king and master and are thus trying to order me, this is also incorrect because these positions are temporary. Today you are a king and I am your servant, but tomorrow the position may be changed and you may be my servant and I your master. These are temporary circumstances created by providence.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's a very beautiful instruction here. And we see that how Jada Bharata is saying these positions are temporary. All these positions are temporary. We get so attached, we become so proud because of our temporary position. And it can reverse at any time, just like a game, you know. Is no reason to rejoice if you are lagging behind by 100 runs, isn't it? Or even if you are, you know, leading right now, very soon the tide can turn, and same thing can happen in life. And we become so proud of our temporary position. We don't realize that this is temporary. We think it will last forever. And if not in this life, sometimes we attach ourselves to the position, temporary position, because we have a lot of shelter. We have a lot of backing. We have a insurance backing, so to say. These days, last 2 days in the news, too much discussion about Supreme Court is happening. Anyway, so like Supreme Court justices are for life. You cannot remove, right? You know that in the US. President can be removed, not removed, or he has to leave after 4 years or 8 years maximum. Senator also, you know, every 6 years. In the government at the highest level, the Supreme Court justice is the only position which is for life. There is another saying in the US I have seen, if there is anybody close to the king in the US, it's not the president, it's not the Senate majority leader, it's not any of those, it's the Supreme Court justice, because he is king means his lifetime appointment, right? So there could be so much pride. My whole life now, it means, you know, I am the king for life. Even in modern day, they attach, they hold on to the position. So even if in this life you may feel secure that nobody can harm me, finally death attacks. There is no solution to that, and there will be no solution. And trust me, billionaires are secretly putting billions of dollars into research towards elongating life or towards slowing aging. So they don't want to die of aging. Yeah, if you shoot him with a bullet, then they may die, but then not because of, at least because of aging. I was actually attending a seminar 2 months back, and there was a talk by this one of the top scientists in the country. His name was Michio Kaku. You might have heard the name. He's a physicist, and he was talking to a group of young scientists, And so I happened to attend that talk, and he said the best invention or the best sort of scientific discovery that you can do, my dear young scientists, is to slow aging. When he said the first words, I got immediately intrigued. What will he say? What is the best thing they can do? Maybe, you know, solve world hunger, maybe solve poverty. No, he didn't say that. Maybe create full-time peace with all this Ukraine war going on. So maybe he will say that you know, somehow some formula for peace. No, he didn't say any of those things. He said what? How to slow aging. So this is the attachment that we have, and we do not realize that that will never happen, and position can reverse. Today I am your servant, or today you are the king and I am your servant, but tomorrow the position may be changed. So this is very, very, I felt it was very powerful, very, somehow I was very hit by this sentence, that our positions are so temporary. And then he goes on to say that our position, our current position is provided by our past deeds, by the laws of karma. Somehow you may have done some good karma in the past, so you have become king. Tomorrow, once all the karma is, all the pious credits are over, then you will no longer be able to enjoy the position. So all these are temporary shelters. All these are temporary shelters, you know, like lifetime appointment. Oh, lifetime appointment. Nobody can fire me. Even professors in the universities, they are called tenured professor. Tenured means nobody can fire you. Or like the Indian government service, IA, whatever, it's very hard to, everybody wants government service, permanent, right? Plus pension. So we attach all these, we think are permanent positions, but they are ultimately temporary. So please remember this word, temporary shelter. We take shelter in these permanent, so-called permanent things. So remember this temporary shelter piece, okay? It will come later. So Jada Bharata said all these things, and let me share the PowerPoint again, just so that we have a nice picture to look at. So he got ready to pick up the palanquin again. But as the king was hearing all these things, the discussion about the soul, that I am not the body, today I am the servant, you are the king, tomorrow something hit him. And he woke up from his illusion, because he was a wise man. And he immediately came to his senses, and immediately he fell to the feet of Jada Bharata. Oh my God. So, you know, he put his head on the feet of Jada Bharata. And he asked Jada Bharata, who are you? Where do you live? Why have you come here? Please reveal your identity to me. And it is said elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the saintly people go from place to place to place, not to receive any remuneration, not to receive food or praise or anything, but only to give. Give what? Give the message of the Lord. To transmit, to propagate, to repeat the message of the Lord. That is why the saintly people go from place to place to place. So he was asking this question, and there's a very, very nice verse, which is again conveying another very important point, that King Rahuguna recites. So we will see that verse, okay? It's a nice verse. And what it says, so this is verse number 17. So we will read and recite this verse. So Canto 5, chapter 10, verse number 17. And he says the most important thing, which is that I have, looks like, offended a devotee. That is the biggest. Now I'm in real trouble. I may be the king, I may be anyone, I can have a lot of pardon powers. You know, king, presidents, they have power to pardon, right? Maybe self-pardon also. Even that situation we had discussed several months back, whether the president can pardon himself, all that stuff. But one cannot pardon if you have offended a devotee of the Lord. So we will, that is the point being brought out, and King Rahuguna knew that, and he is feeling very ashamed and very much distressed, like he's now got himself into a very serious trouble. So we will recite this verse. So this is Canto chapter 5, Canto 10, verse number 17. So I have here on my other screen. Okay, so please try to repeat. And why we are repeating these verses, these are some select verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the most important scripture. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was once asked that if the whole world got flooded and there was one book if you have to save, which one would it be? And Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj said Srimad Bhagavatam, because it has the whole knowledge that ever a human being would need. If one knows the knowledge within Bhagavatam, he knows everything. One can know everything else, but not Bhagavatam, then that's all useless knowledge. So we are getting a chance to recite the actual verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very fortunate for me that I am able to do that. So I want to share that with all of you. So we will recite. Na aham vishanke suraraj vajran. Na trayakshashulan yamasya dandat. Na agnya arka soma nilavita pastrat. Shanke bhrisham brahmakula avamanat. Thank you everyone. So what is being said here is that King Rahuguna is saying, Na aham vishanke suraraja vajran. Suraraja is, Sura means Swargaloka, Raja means king. So who is the king of Swarga? Indra. And Vajra, what is Vajra? His weapon, the thunderbolt. So he's saying, Na aham vishanke. I am not afraid of Indra's weapon, thunderbolt. That is his nuclear weapon, or his most powerful weapon. When he could not break the Govardhan hill, finally he sent his most important weapon to try to break the Govardhan. He was still unsuccessful, but I'm saying that is his final weapon. So King Rahuguna is saying, I'm not afraid of that weapon. Na trayaksha shulan na yamasya dandat. The trayaksha shulan is the trishul of Lord Shiva. I'm not even afraid of the trishul of Lord Shiva or the danda of Yamaraj. We just talked about Yamaraj, how he takes everybody to task. And then he says, Na agni arka soma anila vitappa astrat. All these other demigods have various astras, weapons. So I'm not afraid of the weapons of Indra or Yamaraj or Lord Shiva or Agni or the moon or Soma moon or Anila. Vitappa is Kuvera. And all their astrat. I'm not afraid of their weapons. What am I afraid of? Shanke. So na, if you say na aham vishanke, right? That was the first line. I'm not afraid. Shanke brisham. Brisham means very much. But I am Shanke means I am very much afraid of what? Brahma Kula, one who is a Brahmana. And here Brahman means devotee. A learned Brahman, not a Brahman by name, but a learned Brahman. And learned Brahman is one who follows the Brahminical teachings, and Brahminical teachings are to have faith and have devotion to the Lord. So that is the meaning. So it's not just Brahman who wears a Brahman thread but behaves like a Shudra, not that Brahman. A real Brahman will always be a devotee. So Brahma Kula avamanat, uska apman, offense. So that is what I am afraid of. So you can see here his realization. You can see the gravity of the offense. How it's not just, oh, offended devotee, but what it is compared against. And it shows you that. So this is very, important verse. So we will read the translation. So from here in the room, Vivek Prabhuji, can you read?
Translation. My dear sir, I am not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine piercing trident of Lord Shiva. I do not care about the punishment of Yamaraja, the superintendent of death, nor am I afraid of fire, scorching sun, moon, wind, nor the weapons of Kuvera. Yet I am afraid of offending a Brahmana. I am very much afraid of this.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So that is the, again, shown here, the importance of making sure that you don't offend a devotee of the Lord. Okay, so we will go back to this one. Okay, so there he is repenting. And then, so this was the 17th verse, as you saw, 5.10.17. So next, 18 to 25, I will summarize. That's the end of the chapter. There, then, King Rahuguna asks several questions. He was going to where? Where was he going on his palanquin? Anybody remembers?
Kapila Muni.
Yes. To get spiritual instructions. So अभी क्या चाहिए? अभी यहीं मिल जाएगा सब, You're trying to, go to somewhere else, but you found a better place right now itself. So why you need to go to so far? So he said, looks like he is even more better than Kapil Muni to give me the instructions. I have found the perfect person. So no need. Let me just sit here and get my instructions. So he asks some very, very nice questions. First thing that he does is that he surrenders to Jada Bharata. So let's see what other pictures I have. Okay, last. So yeah, first thing is he surrenders to Jada Bharata. He says, I am your student. Please instruct me. So, and then he asks some very nice questions. And what is the first question he asks? So these questions he will ask, and then we will go to the next chapter, 11th chapter, where Jada Bharata answers those questions. So the answers are also very nice as the questions. So remember what we talked about a little bit. I told you to remember temporary shelters, right? So his first question, he realized, oh my God, I am taking the shelter of something temporary, which is not to be taken off. So his first question is, what is the most secure shelter? What is it that I should take the shelter of? I have been taking the wrong shelter. Maybe he had lifetime appointment. Nobody will remove him or could remove him as the king, but still it is temporary. So he asks, What is the most secure shelter? Next question he asks is, how can I advance in spiritual life? He realizes that he's not so advanced. He thinks he's advanced, but he's not so advanced. Then he asks some deeper questions, because Jada Bharata has spoken the science of the soul, that what is the difference between truth and untruth, sat and asat, or between the permanent and the impermanent, or basically between matter and spirit. All these are synonyms. Matter is temporary, spirit is permanent. Matter is asat, spirit is sat. So then he asks, but matter looks real, isn't it? Is it just illusion or is it real? It looks real. So yes, we agree that spirit is higher. But is matter false, or is there some truth to it? May not be absolute truth, but some truth, partial truth. What is the nature of matter, he's asking. And it is all leading up to one particular question. Then he says that, does the soul also get conditioned? My body is conditioned, my mind is conditioned. That's why I was speaking harshly. But is my soul also conditioned? And finally, not finally, then second last question, from his perspective, he is asking, I was trying to do the duty of a king, which is to correct my subjects. You were not walking properly. So I was trying to correct you. I mean, he realizes that he was trying to correct in the wrong way. But he asks that is it not the king's duty to correct his subjects? If my subjects are doing legitimately something incorrectly, as a king, I should. One of the duties of the king is to punish, is to judge and punish. So should I not punish the wrongdoers? And is punishing the sinful people going to obstruct me in my spiritual life? So the question that he asked, if you see earlier, how can I advance? The first question was, what is the most secure shelter? What was the second question? How can I advance in
spiritual?
Yes, Mataji. So he's asking this, that is being a good king, doing my dharma of the king. King's dharma is to rule, to judge, to reward and punish the rightful and the wrongdoers, right? So is that not the way to make spiritual progress, dharma? It's a very loaded question. And finally, he asks the most important question. What may be the most important question? Huh? Very nice, Mataji. So Anita Mataji gave the right answer. Remember, he's saying that, okay, to hell with, being the king. I can tolerate the Vajra of Indra, this, but the thing that I am afraid of is Vaishnava Aparad. So the last question he asks is, how can I be relieved from my offense to you? So these are the questions, very nice questions that he asks. And then in chapter 11, we'll go to chapter 11. Then Jada Bharata begins to instruct King Rahuguna. And the first question, which is the aggregate or the larger question, is what is the king's dharma? If not to, judge the people. And is the king making spiritual progress by performing his duty as a king? So people who have done Bhagavad Gita classes and have read Bhagavad Gita, etc. I mean, Bhagavad Gita, I'm saying even in the Bhagavatam, but will easily understand this topic of the difference. So I'll give a very short sort of a introduction, that there is a difference between our occupational duty, what is called as the swadharma, what is called your duty of father or mother, or if you are an employee, you have a duty. You have told your employer, I will work from 8 to 5. You can't abscond from your commitments that you have given. So all these are our occupational duties. The farmer's occupational duty is to go and put water and the seeds at the right time. He cannot say, I will put water whenever I want. Then the crop will never grow. So there are some duties, time-bound duties that are to be done. But do they lead to spiritual progress? Is that the ultimate duty? So there is a difference between swadharma and paradharma. The occupational duty at the moment versus the highest duty. And in essence, that is what is described by Jada Bharata. That the Vedas describe a lot about being a good person. Being a devotee of the Lord does not mean you be a jerk. Devotees of the Lord will never abscond from work. They will never abscond from their day-to-day duties. Never. They will perform those duties, but with the full consciousness in the mind that I am doing this to please the Supreme Lord. If I do my duty correctly, at the time they are doing the duty, but in the mind they have it that yes, by doing my own duty, the Lord is getting pleased. And they keep time separate for direct devotional service to the Lord and many other ways. But they are not completely absorbed in the duty itself as if it is the end of everything, the be all and end all. That is, they understand that is not the top goal. Just like you all go to work, right? Is that your topmost goal? That is 8 to 5. You know it is 8 to 5. That's what you committed. You will do it. But if there's a family emergency or anything, family takes priority. If there is a choice you have to make between the two, which one will you prioritize? For most people, not the workaholics. You would prioritize, for example, so when you have to make a choice, when you are presented, if everything is going fine, yes, you fulfill your commitments and all that, but you know what is my highest priority, isn't it? So similarly, for all human beings, not cats and dogs, human beings, the word that will be used is pumsha, is Krishna Bhakti, is bhakti of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu or Lord Rama. Krishna doesn't just mean Krishna, okay? So we will see, so the essence, that is what is described by Jada Bharata. The answer to the question that as a king, am I not supposed to judge? Yes, you are supposed to judge, but don't forget that who is the topmost judge. You may be the judge for the moment, but remember, somebody is waiting to judge you also. You will also be judged by the Lord or by his appointee. Okay. So that is the point, and I wanted to use this opportunity to show these verses. Just 3 verses we will read again from Srimad Bhagavatam. And again, like I said, Srimad Bhagavatam is I'm not just picking out some verses from somewhere, from this Shastra or some unknown place and to prove my point. That is not the case. These verses are not from some unknown, some Sanskrit verse and just, okay, we have 20 people here, I'll just throw something at you and, some Sanskrit gobbledygook and you will be convinced. Not like that. This is coming straight from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the last work and the most important work of Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasadeva, Veda Vyas. It's the most important work and it's the last work. This is his concluding work. And in the Bhagavad Purana, and he has written that everything else I have written is superseded by what I have written here. There may be different topics, like Ayurveda. That's one of the Vedas, and we know Veda Vyas had compiled or put together all the Vedas. So it's detailed instructions of how to use this medicine, this, that, all that thing. That may not be present in Srimad Bhagavatam, but in case of any doubt, Srimad Bhagavatam overrides anything else written anywhere else. You're following? So this is coming straight from Srimad Bhagavatam. And I just want to read 3 verses to show the importance of what is the difference of our duty versus the highest duty. So the first verse we will go through is the 6th one. So please try to recite. Savai pumsham paro dharmo
Paro dharma.
yato bhaktir adhokshaje
Yato bhaktir adhodhate
hetuki apratihata
pratihata
yayatma suprasidati.
prasidati.
So what this means is that Savai pumsho paro dharmo. So pumsha means a human being, or the category of human beings. Srila Prabhupada, as you can see, translates as mankind, not dog kind or fish kind, but mankind. So for people, the paro dharmo, there is a dharma, but there is a paro dharma, paradharma. And we will see the word swadharma also in the next verse, or the one which will. But there is a higher dharma. Highest. Paro doesn't mean just higher, highest. So for human beings, the highest dharma is what? Yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Bhakti towards adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means Lord Vishnu. So bhakti towards Lord Vishnu is the topmost dharma. Higher than the fact that you are a father, you are a mother, you are an employee, you are the king, you are the palanquin carrier, whatever may be there. But first and foremost, you are a Krishna Bhakta. That should be your topmost dharma. It doesn't mean you have to give up the other things. Arjuna was also a Krishna Bhakta. Did he give up the battle? Did Krishna tell him to give up the battle? On the contrary, Krishna told him to fight. He was ready to not fight. So it doesn't mean you have to give up everything else, but it is the topmost.
Okay.
And the bhakti has to be ahaituki and apratihata. Ahaituki means without anything, any other demand or any other expectation in return. And apratihata means unbroken, continuous, not like on Saturdays only. Or any other thing, when you are in trouble, dukh mein sumiran sab kare. So not only when there is dukh, but also when there is sukh. So there can be many reasons for breakage. So not breakage, not discontinuous bhakti, but continuous bhakti. That is what pleases the heart the most. Yayatma suprasidati. Completely enlightens one's consciousness. So would somebody on Zoom like to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. The supreme occupation, dharma for all humanity, is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So the next one that we will see is that the contrast between our occupational duty. Occupational duty is means whatever is our present temporary duty based on our position. Occupation just doesn't mean where you work to get salary, but occupation, like your occupation is mother also, or you have taken up the occupation of a mother or father or whatever else may be the case, brother, friend, whoever, whatever may be the situation. So this will be the 8th verse, which shows this contrast of that there needs to be occupational duty, but if that occupational duty is not being channeled, is not done in the consciousness of bhakti, then it is useless. So even during occupational duty, we have to be conscious that I should do my duty in such a way that if I go to the Lord one day, I should tell him that I did nicely. He should feel happy. Yes, you did nicely, and you did it in devotional consciousness. So this verse, let us recite. These 3 verses that we are reciting are very, very important verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma swanusthitah pumsam vishvaksena kathasu yaha na utpadayed yadiratim Rama eva hi kevalam. Thank you. So it means that now you can see dharma swanusthitaha, swadharma, that is one's occupational duty. Again, pumsam means for mankind. So the dharma for mankind, which means the dharma, the swadharma, the occupational duty, is one thing, but Vishvaksena kathasu yaha. Vishvaksena means the Supreme Lord. His katha, his hearing about him, hearing his katha, na utpadayed yatiratim. So by doing the occupational duty, if not done in such a way that it creates utpadayed, utpadan. It's, utpadan means what? Production or creation is utpadan. So if the occupational duty, the swadharma, is not doing utpadan, it is not doing a production, or it is not resulting in rati. Rati means attachment or attraction to katha of Vishvakshena, to katha of the Lord, to topics about the Lord, to hear the topics. Then what is the value of such swadharma? Shrama eva hi kevalam. Then it is just shrama, like hard work, without any benefit. Shrama eva hi kevalam. It's useless hard work. It's like, not smart work. In our offices, we are told to work smart, not hard. Hard work is not very, the output is not very valuable. So this is the devotional meaning of smart work. Do your work, but in a way that your attachment to Krishna Katha does not diminish, it should increase. So would somebody like to read this translation in the room here? Yes, loud and clear.
The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead.
Thank you. So we can see here that our occupational duties should result in attachment or attraction to hear the message of the Lord. And finally, the last verse that we will read.
Vijay, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm just trying to relate to the work we do in the office, right? How do we ensure that it provokes attraction to the message of the personality of Godhead, right? I cannot see it as different, so I'm not able to relate to. I understand perhaps it's the right thing to do, but I don't know how to connect this and the work we do at work. No.
Yeah, very nice question. And there can be many ways. Okay. So the question is, how do we, like, you're working in the office? What is your role, or what is the kind of job? Just Prabhuji, can you share with us? I know, but I'm just saying.
I manage a team which does some software consulting work.
Software consulting work. Okay. So he's not a pujari in the temple. It would be very, very easy for him to, maybe someday you will be a pujari, but today you are a software consulting whatever person. And he's asking, how do I use that, or while I'm working as a software consultant, how do I use that to increase my attraction to hear the message of the Lord? So first of all, just like Arjuna, he was fighting, he was doing something even more remote from bhakti, which is to kill other people. At least you're not killing people by being a software consultant. If he could do that, I'm just saying you can definitely do it. The second point, a little bit more practical, for example, is to realize that I have my most important duty as devotional service, as bhakti. You are a father, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So I know your child lives away from home, right? I know my child also lives away from home. Every morning every night, every morning I have told him, whenever you leave your hostel or your dorm, send me a text. When you come back, send me a text. If you are leaving the campus, send me a text. Trying to keep track of, where he's going, all that, just to feel safe. Not that I can do much sitting 2,000, 3,000 miles away. And if I know that he has to go, but I didn't get the text, or if I send him a text message and it doesn't show that double tick delivered, will my mind be in my work? No. So even though I am between 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, I'm supposed to be doing my software consulting work. At the back of my mind, what is taking priority? Double tick for my child, not for you. If I have sent message to you, then okay, fine. It can wait. But my child is most important for me. Your child is most important for you. Our priorities are different. Everybody's priorities are different. Isn't it? It will always keep bothering me. That is called me being child conscious. Even though I'm working as a software consultant, I am being child conscious. Do we have that consciousness for Krishna? Today, did I do my bhakti nicely? Or if let's say you spoke badly to someone, how much it pinches your heart that Krishna did not like this? Does it pinch your heart when you are driving on the road and somebody cuts you and then you zoom past him and show him your finger? or whatever. Or if somebody did that to you and then you are like, oh, how did he do that? And all this rage and this and that, and it happens on the road, right? Just a simple example, or even more, something more serious. Something even more serious, like, even with your near dear ones. Do we feel that Krishna is happy with this? Just a simple example. So always we should think, whatever we are doing, are we able to face Krishna with that, with our actions? Those who are doing very serious devotional service, they have taken a vow to do their bhakti for 2 hours every day. It could be to do reading of Shastra, could be to do something. So while they are working, I have seen so many times, I'm on the office call, so many times, and there's some important discussion going, and say, sorry, I have to go. I have to pick up my child at 4:30. I need to leave. We will discuss tomorrow. No. This is a contract, $1 million. No. Don't worry. You deal with it. I have to pick up my child. I need to run. Has that happened? Why does the $1 million contract not take priority? So similarly, do we say that, oh, if I do keep working, and my 2 hours of the commitment that I had said will not get fulfilled, I will not be able to meet it, or I will not be able to meet it nicely towards my bhakti towards Krishna, then I really need to give this up and go and do that. So many things can be there like this. So all this while you are doing, you are doing bhakti, or you are expressing your Krishna bhakti even during your job. And also there can be many other things, when like you get a raise, or when somebody even appreciates you, in your mind, you convey that to Krishna, saying that, because of your ability or your help, I got this appreciation, I got this, I got that. Everything we attribute to Krishna, not like I did it. Never one should think like I am the one. Even if you reach home safely while after a drive, there could have been so many things that could have gone wrong. Every time you just reach home safely, you should thank Krishna. So there are so many ways in which to be conscious of Krishna while doing other things. So I hope that answers that question, Prabhuji.
Yes, it does, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
So last verse that we will discuss is number 13. So please recite. Ataha pumbhir dvija shrestha varnashrama vibhagashaha swanushthitasya dharmasya tam siddhir haritoshanam. So this means that ataha means therefore. Pumbhir, again the same thing for the human beings, my dear Dvija Shrestha. So the human beings, for the human beings, the system that has been created, which is based on the divisions called Varnashrama. Now I'm not going to be able to go into the details of Varnashrama, but basically it is the system of Swadharma. Varnashrama is the system of one's occupational duty. So Varnashrama means 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas are the 4 ashrams, and the 4 Varnas are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So there are certain duties associated with each other. Like for Vaishyas, it is Krishi and Goraksha and Vanijya. Just at a high level, Vanijya means commerce, business. Krishi means farming. Goraksha means cow protection. So from Bhagavad Gita, it says that it is Krishi, Goraksha and Vanijya as an example. So, and by the way, these varnashramas are not by birth. They are by your duties, your activities. We'll go into details of that in Bhagavad Gita discussions, but assuming you're all familiar with that, some of you may not be, but it's not by birth. Okay. Like in the modern time, the son of a doctor is not a doctor, right? If you go to the doctor and you see a new person and he says, don't worry, I am the son of the doctor, therefore I am also doctor. Will you agree to pay him the money and get treatment? So, but if a person says, I came first in the medical school, and he shows you the certificate and I am the doctor, but my father was a chaprasi, but I came first in medical school, I am a qualified doctor. Will you get treated by him? Yes. So it is not does not depend on who your father is. It depends on what you have done. So anyway, Varnashrama is based on that. Lord Krishna says, Chatur Varniyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Based on Guna and Karma, not Janma. So anyway, this whole Varnashram system that has been created, again, Swa Nushtitasya Dharmasya. This is the Swadharma. So this defines the Swadharma. But the point is that the highest purpose, this is the temporary purpose based on your current situation in Varnashram. The highest purpose, Samsiddhir means the topmost duty, is not this temporary occupational Swadharma, but it is Samsiddhir Hari Toshanam is your highest duty. Hari Toshanam. Toshana means to please. Toshana, Poshana. To keep happy, to please. So we are all trying to do Toshanam of our family and ourselves. But the highest duty is not that, it is Hari Toshanam. Pleasing or making sure that the Lord is happy with us. Not that he says, what an idiot. But he should say, what a nice person. So that is the duty. So this is what, in essence, is explained by Jada Bharata to Mahārāja Rahuguna. That answers one big question. Then the next question, and we don't have time to go into it today, so we will continue next time, is how to or what is the most secure shelter. This was the previous one was the answer to the duties of a king. Am I not supposed to do that? So yes, you can do that dharma, but that is, one should know that it is only your temporary dharma. While doing that dharma, you should be conscious of your paro dharma. Like we had a nice discussion on that, how we can do. Then the next question is, what is the cause of us? What causes us to take these temporary shelters? I am the king, you are the servant. I am the boss, you are the subordinate. You shall do what I say. All this tendency that we have. What is the cause of that and what is the solution? So there, Jada Bharata goes into a detailed discussion of the mind. The mind being the root cause, the attachments in the mind. And he compares the mind to a very, very powerful elephant. You will, again, we'll not go into that today because that's a longer topic. And very nice discussion. I was hearing a class by Radheshyam Prabhu. So wonderfully he described the analogy of why the Shastras give the analogy of elephant to the mind. So many points are there. So I wanted to share a few points from that and all that. So nice discussion on the mind we will have, and what is the solution to the uncontrolled mind. So we will have that next time. So we will stop here. I hope, so we started from the discussion from King Rahuguna's episode, how Jada Bharata was trying to save the ants, and how King Rahuguna got mad at him, got angry at him, but he was not agitated. Then the king realized what a great personality Jada Bharata is, and how he instructed King Rahuguna. Rahuguna asked some very important questions, and the one big question that we answered or discussed was the difference between our temporary duty and our topmost duty, Swadharma versus Paradharma. So that is all what we discussed today, and we will continue next time. So next Saturday, I think there will not be a class. Is that correct? I think Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji will be there on Saturday, right? So we will have class maybe, and then I'm traveling out of town. So you will get to know when the next class will be there. Keep an eye on your email, WhatsApp, whatever. Any comments or questions on the Zoom?
Prabhuji.
Yes.
Jada Bharata, instead of acting as a foolish man, why you should have gone to forest and do service?
Nice question. But you are forgetting the point that he remembered his past 2 lives. That is exact. That's like, what you call the deja vu. Yeah. That's exactly what he did in the first life. And what happened? Isn't it? So he was like once burnt, twice shy. That's one thing he would never do.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Anything else on the Zoom or in the room?
I have one question.
Yes.
You tell like we should not show anger on someone. So sometimes we need to show anger. If we don't show that, that will not go further.
Very
For
nice.
example, for kids.
Very
If
nice.
we don't shout on them, they don't read, they don't eat. So in that cases, how to handle the situation?
Very wonderful question. Very nice question. The question, if you didn't hear on the Zoom, is sometimes we have to show anger, like on the kids or something, to discipline them and all that. So should we never show anger, or what is how to handle that? Very nice question. Very frequently asked question, and a very important question. And the very, very quick, short answer, and I can elaborate more. There is difference between controlled anger and uncontrolled anger. So you should act angry. Controlled anger means you are in control of the anger. So you're acting because the purpose is to correct the child. Is the purpose to be mean to the child? Is to be like make him feel down and low and discarded and whatever else, bad, things? No, the purpose is correction. And sometimes, yes, you have to. Even Mother Yashoda scolded her child, isn't it? Not only scolded, she tied him to the rope, with a rope, and was even running behind him with a stick. And she is called the ideal mother. So yes, following our definition of ideal mother, we can do that, but we must be in control of the anger. The anger should not be should not be the one who is controlling us. Okay, so you can act angry, you can show the anger, But once the child has gone to school, let us say he got up late, and you are wanting him to get up on time, and he missed the bus, and you had to drive him to school instead of him going in the bus. So much all this, and you get angry at him. But after you have dropped him, then still if in your mind it's going on and on and on, and all the anger, oh my God, my child is so bad, or this or that or that, and you're like, then that is not, you can show your anger on the child for the purpose of disciplining the child. And yes, it's not like you should completely pretend as if nothing has happened. You can make positive plans of how to rectify the situation in the future. That is something you can contemplate. What else can be done? What other strategy, or what other, maybe you can use an alarm, or if he needs sometimes one day this actually happened with my child when he was younger. And for one, I have two children. One needs 30 minutes notice. You wake him up before whatever, and 30 minutes, and he's ready and he's ready to go. The other one, I said, I woke you both at the same time. He's ready. Why you are not ready? So he said, I need 1 hour. I just need 1 hour. I need to get up and roll in bed or whatever. This. I said, fine, that's good. So then I started giving him 1 hour notice, and then he's fine. It's just, okay, no problem. I can get ready in 10 minutes. So you can argue that the whole world can get ready in 10 minutes. No, everybody has there. So you can come up with, you can think and contemplate on how to address the situation, but not that anger spoil your consciousness. That kind of anger must always be given up. You can show your anger to rectify the person if that's what needs to be done. First, you must try with love, by the way. Anger should not be the first response. And if all else fails or whatever, as a parent, you know best. So yes, go ahead, and that is permitted. Anything else? And not only as a parent, even as a boss, as an employee, whatever, the employee is supposed to do your work, what the boss has said. So he has a right to say, oh, this is not what I told you. So many times I'm telling you to do this and that, and you're not doing it properly. You can be strong in that. So somebody will ask, how do I be a nice person at work? If I'm nice, everybody will take advantage of me. So that is the point. You can use that in those specific situations where you have the legitimate authority. Don't go and just show your anger on strangers, on road rage and this and that. Wherever you have the authority, you can be angry, but use that as a tool. Not, you should, the litmus test is never let it spoil your own consciousness. If it is spoiling your consciousness, it means you are overusing anger. You're not using it as a tool. You are possessed by it. Anything else? Okay.
Prabhuji, I had a question. I mean, it's not a question. It's more of like in that today's age and time, like the conversation that just happened between like the Bharat and the king was that king realized it immediately that I've done something wrong, and he came and like put his head on his feet, right? In today's day and age, that doesn't really happen, right? That realization doesn't happen. And we actually kind of assume things on our own. कि मैंने ऐसे बोलूंगी तो ये ऐसे कर देगा, and all that like egocentric things come into play. Yeah. I want to understand that we can change ourselves, but we are still not that spiritually progressed enough to like forgive and forget and move on. And we still think, okay, what are the assumptions? What is this person doing? How do we train our minds to do that? I know japa and all that is there, but like any kind of like practical implication would really help.
Yeah, sure. So the question, as I understand, is we can change ourselves, but we cannot change other people. Or it's much harder to change other people, and other people are not like King Rahuguna, who immediately realized their mistake. And then in that case, any practical tips on how to deal with such people. Doing our devotional service, our japa, our hearing, shravana and kirtana definitely increases our tolerance. So how else to address the situation? Is that a fair summary of your question?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So couple of things, like Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, TME, that's very nice method. Tolerate, mitigate, and then emigrate. Emigrate. TMI or TME, whatever. Emigrate, whatever is the spelling. So, learn tolerance. Bhagavad Gita definitely teaches tolerance. Titikshasva Bharata. So tolerance is very important quality. Other people can continue to be jerks. And if it is somebody who you can talk to, that is the mitigate part. If it is road rage and you're never going to see that person again, we are talking a lot about road rage because we started with that example, but nice example where you'll never see that person again, right? Tolerate. If it is too much tolerance, and some people, it takes a toll on you, how much can you tolerate? It may be making you sick after a certain point or whatever. Even before that, go and talk to the person, address the situation, mitigate, that is. Work on the problem. Okay? Don't just work on it at your end, try to work it out. That's called mitigation. Come up with a mitigation method. Finally, if that is not happening, then immigrate, which means distance yourself. Maybe that will be the best way if it is really spoiling your Krishna consciousness. So that is one thing that you can apply, and it comes with practice and it comes with training. You need to train your mind. You need to train yourself. I had given a whole class one time, and it's on the YouTube, on training the mind. It's not going to happen overnight. So training the mind to do this kind of thing is very important. Then the other thing is not just, you said japa and kirtana and shravana. That is one aspect of bhakti. Lord Krishna says so many places in the Bhagavad Gita, he's not talking only about bhakti, he's also talking about being a good person. Lot of focus is there on that. Many of the people in the devotional community forget that is also what Lord Krishna talked about. Just by doing your shravana and kirtana and going and not behaving nicely with others will slow down the progress of shravana and kirtana, or will slow down the effects, the results that come through shravana and kirtana will be slowed down. So Lord Krishna talks so much about being a good person, good qualities. Chapter 13, 8 to 12, and Srila Prabhupada and so many acharyas have given detailed commentaries. Chapter 16, the first 3 verses are about 22 devotional qualities, 26, sorry. So there's so much focus on being a good person. And there was one more thing I was going to say which slipped my mind. No, I think if it comes to me, I will share. Does that help, Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhuji, it does. Like I think I do follow the TPI or the TPE that you're talking about, and TME, yeah, we do follow it. But at the end of the day, we are human, and it kind of hurts, especially when it's about our near and dears. You can distance yourself from your near and dears, but at the end of the day, they are somebody very close to you, right? So even if you have distanced yourself, the pain is still there.
Yeah, but we rush many times to the immigrate step without giving enough focus on the T and the M part. Okay. And immigrate may not always, now since you brought up the point of near and dear ones, it is possible to immigrate without having physical immigration. You can have a immigrate in the sense that, yes, okay, you associate less. Association does not have to mean physical distance, social distancing, minimum 6 feet or minimum 600 feet or 6,000 miles. So immigration does not have always, it can mean physical distancing, but it may not always mean that. It can mean distancing at a consciousness level. You have to see what, I don't know the personal situations, and I don't want to know, at least definitely not in the public setting. But there can be many different ways to have a nice and cordial relationship. But realizing that our paradharma, and if especially that is coming in the way of our devotional service, then we must try to draw a reasonable line to see where we can have a sort of a trade-off between doing our bhakti nicely, yet that relationship, which is very close, not affecting our personal consciousness to the extent that it spoils our bhakti. That one should keep very, very near and very, very near and dear to our heart. Just like in the workplace, if it's a personal home emergency, nothing else can cause me to work. In the same way, if something is a personal emergency in our bhakti, nothing in our life should cause it to be spoiled. You can put it away. It doesn't mean that, even if you have to stop your japa for 1 week to take care, let's say somebody is in the hospital, or you have to just keep run, that's fine. You won't say, oh, whether you live or die, I don't care, I will do my japa. Not that way. But you understand what I'm saying? Spoiling your bhakti. Spoiling really means spoiling to the point where it is,
it would be bothering
you lose
me
your
while even
taste in it.
Yeah. No,
Or
I
you
think it's
feel
the
like
contrary. I think it makes us go more closer, because I was listening to one of the the YouTube video of Amarendra Prabhuji. I just recently got introduced because I was watching one of the videos, and he did talk about it. He said that whatever happens, there is a reason behind it, and just accepting it, because Krishna is looking at a bigger picture. He's looking at not your 40 years of your life, but he's looking at like 40,000 years of your 40,000 janam. So let him take care of like everything that bothers you, and you just continue servicing the Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a very in that consciousness, it allows you to tolerate the situation, knowing that whatever is I am going through could be because of my past activities, my past baggage. So I have to tolerate. I can't remember, something recently happened to me, some little loss. I can't remember exactly what right now. I even forgot. But yeah, I lost like about $1,000 or $1,500 recently. And I thought that, yeah, ultimately, and there was no way to recover. And I was very peaceful with that. I thought, must be I owed that person that much. It's okay. No problem. Okay. Okay. So we will end here. Okay. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.